Thanks everyone for turning up. It's now 5:30, so I declare the meeting open. And thanks for turning up to what is the first sitting of council in our redesigned chamber. As you might have noticed on the way up, it's not quite finished yet, but decision was made to utilise this part of the building instead of going out to the sports complex. So welcome to what is an historic change of location. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge the Garryella people on whose lands we are meeting and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We have recorded attendances for the executive. 3.2, attendance by phone, there is nil. 3.3, the apologies are nil. 3.4, approval of leave of absence, there is nil. 3.5, disclosure of interest, we have one, a disclosure of interest from one of our directors, Craig Watts, in relation to item 11.3.2. Item 4, application for leave of absence, there is nil. Item 5, the responses to previous questions that were taken on notice at the last meeting, and they're listed there. Item 6. Now, this meeting is being recorded on audio tape and streamed live online as an additional record of the meeting and to assist with minute-taking purposes, which may be released upon request to a third party. If you do not give permission for recording your participation, please indicate this at the meeting. The public is reminded that in accordance with section 6.16 of the Town of Port Hedland local laws on standing orders, nobody shall use a visual or vocal electronic device or instrument to record the proceedings of any meeting unless the person has been given permission by the chairperson to do so. Members of the public are also reminded that in accordance with section 6.17 subsection 4 of the Town of Port Hedland local laws on standing orders, mobile phones must be switched off and not used during the meeting. In accordance with section 6.7 subsection 3 of the Town of Port Hedland local laws on standing orders, members of the public are required to complete a question form and place the completed form in the tray provided. If the presiding member determines that questions or statements are out of order due to the use of offensive or objectionable expressions or defamatory, they will not be recorded or responded to. So the time is now 5:35. Do we have any questions? If you'd state your name when you get up to the phone. Thanks.
Yeah, good evening everybody. I'm John Peters, 2 Colinda Street, Port Hedland. My first question is, what precaution has the Town of Port Hedland taken in regards to the health, quarantine requirements and possible outbreak of coronavirus in the town?
Do you have a second question?
Has this matter ever been discussed with other Pilbara Council?
Right. Yep. Any?
What preparations are there in place as far as breathing mask, sanitizing gel, a breathing mask for 15,000 people, vital supplies like food, water, medicine, and stocking up for a possible town lockdown?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
In relation to those questions, the town is in constant, in contact with the health department. My understanding is there's been an enhanced presence in relation to seamen coming ashore, in relation to the iron ore industry and the like. I don't know that any extra facilities such as masks have been ordered. I presume there's a supply of masks that that would be accessible through the hospital and also through the chemist, but I haven't made any inquiries as to the extent of that. The review in relation to, I think, one of the points that may at some stage be a problem for us is the flights from Bali to Port Hedland, and I'm assuming that the Australian Federal Police are monitoring that particular situation. So we will be guided by the health authorities, and we will take whatever precautions are in fact suggested. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have one notice that we've been given in relation to questions. Just, yep, you've put in a question, haven't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've changed a couple, but because they've already been answered by the state government in public release.
Right.
So, my name's Dean Davis, 2 Lovell Way. Next month we'll see the 3-month operation of NSP program. Over 800 community members are asking if local government will release detailed KPIs for public review, and on what date.
Is that all the questions?
The Director of Regulation Services responded as no to request to reduce harm to children in the community from AIDS and hepatitis C from needle picks. It comes at a price to livability of the community. Putting an illegal activity over the community's quiet enjoyment of parks is ugly and shows that the government is not learning or hearing its community. Can you please advise why ED NSP does not open during NSP or NSP times, as like the request for NSP to be closed while NSP is open? We find this hypocritical. The next one is, the community is over waiting for education to work and want our parks clean and free from illegal activities and its dangerous exposure to children from people who inject drugs, waste. With W Health's revised return rate from 95 to 75%, we would like to know how many syringe disposal locations will be closed, as they will no longer be needed with the return rate, as the community would like a list and will favour these locations for children's play over the ones the local government advertises to people who inject drugs.
Yep. For those questions that we didn't get notice to, I will take them on notice and get you a written reply. The last question, I think, was more of a statement than a question, but we will get that.
Well, we'd like a list of sites,
hang on,
children's playgrounds.
Hang on, I'm answering it. We will get an answer to you in relation to that. I'll just ask Craig.
Through the Chair, in terms of the NESP program, that's operated by the WA Country Health Service. So the council and the town does support the work that they're doing, but any KPIs, reporting, etc., would be done through that authority rather than us.
You still you are responsible for health. You are responsible for safety. I believe that you will be getting that information.
This is not a debate. You ask the question, the answer is given. You might not like the answer.
So that's no. You won't release the information.
We don't have the KPI information that the health department operate under.
So you're not in control of health. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I declare public question. Oh, is anyone else? Sorry. No. It's closed at 5:40. Do we have any statements? No. So that's closed at 5:40 as well. This item 7, questions from members without notice. There is none. Question item 8, announcements by presiding officers. by the presiding officer without discussion. There's just a list of people that I've met over the last months. It doesn't appear to be a full list, but anyhow, that's a summary of who I've met. Item 9, I declare that I've given due consideration to all matters contained in this agenda. Item 10, which is confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. I confirm that the minutes of the ordinary meeting, council meeting held on Wednesday the 5th of February 2020 are true and correct record, so I support the recommendation on page 10. We move to the agenda item. Item 11.1.1, financial activities for the period ending the 31st of December 2019. This report gives the current position of our budget in relation to the programs that were the basis of our budget. The report highlights where there is a material variance of more than 10% or $10,000. These variances require an explanation. With regard to capital projects, the variance needed to be greater than $50,000. The normal issues that I highlighted in the last few meetings has been these following figures. The normal highlights are currently asset position as at the 31st of December 2019 was 22.4 million, with current assets at 249.7 million, restricted cash at 242.1 million, unrestricted cash position 7.6 million. I now wish to highlight some of the variations with an explanation so that the public knows the details that go into these reports. These are just some examples. They're not an extensive list of these matters. The first is the roadworks and foreshore Cyclone Veronica account. Year to date lists as $2,824,998. Actual amount received was $1,383,577. The receipt of this amount in January created a variation. And 2, the FAGS grants, which is the Federal Assistant Grants, the receipt of the monies created a variation that will be balanced by the end of the financial year. Item 3, the Kingsford Smith Business Park sales. The variance in revenue is because we sold more properties than was expected in our budget. Item 4, interest earned has increased. The reason for that is because the money that was put aside for the spoil bank has not been paid out. This has had in a small way, has offset the fall in income from the airport fund. I don't want to go through all the variances, but I wish to state the outstanding work of our accounting people is on public display in this particular document. The general public probably do not realise or recognise the mess that our accounts were in a couple of years ago to what we now have, to the situation now. There is still work to be done. Our hard-working staff need to be acknowledged for the work they've put in, and this particular report shows some of that. I support the recommendation on page 11 of this report. Item 11.1.2. This item is a result of checking all our policies to make sure that we are up to date and reflect the modern and coherent set of rules by which the council can operate. The change in this instance does not change how the policy operates or its intent. The change is to correct grammatical errors that should have been picked up in May 2013. I think the policy now reads better and is grammatically correct. I support the recommendation on page 15 of this report. Item 11.1.3, the conduct of the 2020 extraordinary local government election. This item, I hope, will be welcomed by all residents of Port Hedland. This item is required to be approved so that the election can take place on the 17th of October 2020. This date will mark the end of my involvement with the town of Port Hedland and the people of Port Hedland. The Electoral Commissioner will conduct the election via a postal vote, which traditionally has resulted in the highest turnouts. I hope that people of Port Hedland will take this opportunity to have their say and make sure the problems of the past are not repeated. I am keen to make sure that there is no interference in this process. There was some suggestions in the last election that interference did take place. I will be making sure that that is not possible. I support the recommendation on page 17 of the agenda. Item 11.1.4, the Corporate Business Quarterly Performance Report. This item is the Council's quarterly performance report. The report shows the strategic community plan and the corporate business plan and shows our progress in relation to these. It highlights the town's achievement in service delivery, operational, budgeting and resourcing. This report focused on showing progress in these projects and is a major part of transparency and accountability. This report is for the second quarter of the financial year and covers some very important areas. The first was the pre-cyclone preparation completed prior to the cyclone season, including tree pruning in South, Port Hedland, Wedgefield, plus annual green waste collection. Implemented internal processes to ensure that all events at Matt Dan Library, JD Harding, have a promotional plan to improve usage of our facilities by the community. Point 3, the implementation of the CHAR map erosion plan with 3 erosion hotspots. Action is now taking place in relation to these hotspots. We appointed a caretaker for the Overflow Caravan Park, developed a comprehensive community safety plan, an arts and cultural strategy now adopted, a new partnership with Port Hedland Chamber of Commerce, developed a new, we are in the process of developing a reconciliation action plan, which will take the place of the previous action plan, or RAP plan. These are just a few examples. The work taking place in the development of our master plans is also impressive and is progressing well. I now receive and note the performance report and support the recommendation on page 23 of this report. Okay, item 11.1.5, the redevelopment of Stevens Street. This item is to put in black and white the Shire's desire to build or rebuild the units on the existing site. This position has been stated many, many times in letters, press releases over many months. This item, I hope, will stop the misinformation and the mistrust that is designed to cause uncertainty amongst the tenants or residents of this council. This council's objectives have remained the same: removing the tenants due to the unacceptable safety standards of these units. Once removed from the site, we intend to rebuild on the site the units to then rehouse the seniors on this site. Council will work with Homes West to paint the properties that they're moving into, install air conditioning, fix minor works, clean the gardens, regularly attend the gardens, pay for the removal, both to the temporary accommodation and back to the new homes when finished. I state clearly that no mining company has any claim over this property, as these companies have not, to my knowledge, ever shown any interest at all in the purchase of these properties. Those that say that the above is the case have no truth to the basis of their statements. The good news is, in relation to this particular property, is that as at today, all but 2 residents have agreed to move into properties. One of those has advised me that he will be accepting the offer today or tomorrow. The other needs simply to fill in a form. In the next couple of months, we will be speaking to the residents about design of the new properties. So I'm hoping the long-running saga is coming to an end. So it's a couple of things I have to do in relation to this particular item, and it might look a little bit silly from people that are sitting back there. So firstly, I raise my hand in support of the revocation of the previous order, and so approve the revocation. I support the recommendation 1 and 2 on page 26 of this report, and more importantly, I suppose, I support the recommendation 3 on page 27 of this report. Which is a sigh of relief, I've got to say, to many that have been watching that item. Item 11.2.1. This item is a review of how our courthouse gallery is performing and has performed over the past 3 months. Let me state right from the start that this group is very good at completion of the reports needed for the assessment to be made. The report sets out, and our manager of this area confirms that all KPIs are being delivered and in most cases exceeded. People may ask why we do this every quarter. The answer, both this group and the next receive significant funding from your council, and this, like the previous item, is all about accountability and transparency. The way these reports are dealt with should not see what occurred in June last year occur again, when people were hurt and surprised as a result, in my view, of the lack of transparency leading up to those events. I support the recommendation on page 31 of the agenda. Okay, item 11.2.2. This report is similar to the last 2 reports. It is an accountability check to ensure that the KPIs set for the operation of our visitor centre are achieving what your council has set for them. I will say that the reports submitted by the operators is not at the same standard as the art gallery, and therefore was more difficult to come to the conclusion that the council is getting its desired results. In saying that, this is only the 2nd report, and I am of the view that the tasks set, the KPIs, are in fact being met. In relation to, before I move the recommendation, I just want to congratulate the people involved in the cruise ship that landed on the weekend. The operation was extremely well done, and that includes the seafarers and the visitor centre. I also want to thank our events team who came out and met the visitors and spent all day there. So I thank the staff for their dedication and making sure that all those visitors will spread the rumour that this is a place for cruise ships to come, and hopefully be corona free. If that's it just enhances. I think we'll probably, as a result of last weekend's activities, see more of the same thing. So well done to everyone concerned. I support the recommendation on page 34 of this report. Item 11.3.1. This is in relation to Port Hedland International Airport. This report is in relation to our international airport and is about safety and efficiency and efficient operation of the airport. This policy will be advertised for public comment. That will come back to Council for adoption after consideration of the comments. This policy will provide, one, designed to meet prevailing noise and height limitations associated with airports. Two, ensure commercial developments reinforce the safe transmission of aircraft. The key things within the report are, one, making sure no intrusion into controlled area. This area extends for some 15 kilometres from our airport. This restriction includes things such as mobile cranes. Two, consider the long-term plans for the end of our runway to be suitable developments. Three, lights that are impacting on airspace. Four, solar cells need to be approved. Five, the establishment of parameters for referring matters to our operator. And six, the establishment that land use should be either encouraged or discouraged at the end of our of the runways. This is an important safety issue, and I'm surprised that it is not actually already in place. I support the recommendation on page 37 of the report. Okay. Now this item 11.3.2, this item is a result of concerns raised by locals that there was no dog exercise area in South Hedland. The spokesperson was Kathy Fraser, and Chloe Franks was the other person involved in bringing those matters to our attention. I thank them for their words at the council meeting. As a result of the above, a temporary enclosure is being constructed to cater for the responsible dog owners in South Hedland before our planned dog park is established in the master plan for this area. For the sake of fullness, there is in fact two dog exercise areas in Port Hedland, one in McGregor Street Reserve and the other in the Spoilbank area. South Hedland's temporary area will be at the South Hedland Integrated Sports Complex in an area adjacent to the proposed new dog park. The temporary facility will be 25 metres by 70 metres and will not interfere with the activities on the surrounding ovals. The Shire will of course provide poo bags, which is exciting, and bins for the disposal of those necessary products. An online survey of more than 50 people has shown that a staggering 96% of respondents support this particular move. So not only was Kathy and Chloe speaking for themselves, they were speaking, it would appear, for a large group of people in South Hedland. So I thank them for their efforts, and thank the staff for putting this temporary solution in place, and I support the recommendation on page 46 of the report. Okay. Is it? I just have to check the page number. Is it 43?
Yes, so just for transparency, I think the critical train, just to declare police interest or
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll just take the recommendation back and allow Craig to speak.
So, as the authorising officer of this report, I declare an impartiality interest in relation to the item, as I own a dog and will be more than likely making use of these areas. I confirm that the report has been written without bias, based on existing legislative exercise areas and requests from the committee members. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, I move the report on page, I'm sure it's on page 43 on mine anyhow, and 43 of the report. Item 11.3.3. This item has been out to the public for comment about how council will deal with sea containers from now on. The the reasons for the change is as follows. 1, to protect and enhance the amenity and streetscape when considering sea containers. 2, apply development guidelines for installation of the containers. And 3, provide guidelines for approval that complies with the intent of this policy. The new policy addressing the following key issues. 1, provide clear objectives for the public. 2, simplifying the policy to address the objectives. And 3, flexible approach to address different scenarios. The advertising of this change resulted in no public comments being received by council. So I therefore move the recommendation on page 48 of the agenda. Item 11.4.1, the adoption of the Port Hedland Depot Master Plan and Budget. This item is an endeavour to make our depot more efficient and complement the modern depot, and should serve the town's needs for the next 30 years. The conditions we currently expect our workforce to work is primitive and reflects workplaces from the early part of last century, with people working on machinery in the sun and working in sand under vehicles. It is proposed to stop the ad hoc work that seems to be how the depot has developed for many years. It is quite frankly a disgrace, the conditions at the depot. The following is a list of projects included in this plan. 1, construct option A, which is the steel framed building, which gives the best results and flexibility of a building, and also the longevity of the building is far better in relation to that. 2, construct a centralised store for all the town's operations. 3, upgrade the pound for dogs and cats. 4, construct an overhead shelter above the external vehicle maintenance area and washdown bay, allowing staff to work safely on large vehicles. 5, seal the unsealed area, reducing the risk and dust in the area. 6, upgrade existing training rooms and outdoor crew kitchens. The proposed budget for this work is $8,860,000. One of the major issues is that the lease of the office building on this site is coming to an end and that building needs to be replaced. And so there's a matter of some urgency that this particular matter goes through. I support the recommendation on page 52 of this agenda. That's right. Okay, item 11.4.2. This item is to authorise the advertising of a proposal to link Cook Point to Pretty Pool via a footbridge. Once again, a project that I think should have occurred years ago, given the number of people that walk, jog, run, cycle along our beautiful coastline. This report puts forward 3 options for a proposed location. The report, in my view, clearly indicates that option 1 as the only viable option. The option must have the walkway high enough to not hinder people's access on water past the bridge, even if the people are standing. There's a lot of people these days stand and paddleboard, and also must allow for four-wheel drive access to the ocean side of the river, of the inlet. I consider this as an exciting example of community infrastructure that connects Pretty Pool to the rest of Port Hedland, albeit by foot. I look forward to the public feedback on this particular issue. I support the recommendation on page 63 of this report. Okay, item 12, is that it? Yep. Item 12, report of committees, there's nil. Item 13, report of which previous notice has been given, there's nil. New business of an urgent nature, there is nil. Item 15, matters for which meeting may be closed or confidential matters, there is nil. Item 16, the next meeting date. The next ordinary meeting of council will be held on Wednesday the 25th of March, commencing at 5:30, and will be in this building, and hopefully everything around it will have been finished by then. So I do thank everyone for turning up and listening to our meeting, and I close the meeting at 6:07.